Okay, Oak Rovers, this is going to be a video to help you solve equations that have variables on both sides of the equal sign. So let's look at the very first problem that we have up here. I have 14x minus 8 is the same as 22 plus 20x. Now whenever I do two-step equations or multi-step equations, the first thing I always do is make a fence through the equal sign. And what that tells me is whatever I do on one side of the equal sign, I have to do on the other side also. The first step I always try and do when I solve problems like this is I get all my variables on one side. Right now I have a variable over here, the 14x, and I have a variable over here, the 20x. So what I'm going to do is get rid of the variable on one side or the other. Since I have more of the x's over on the right side, I have 20 over there and only 14 on the left, I'm going to get rid of the 14x on the left-hand side of the equation. And I can do that by combining 14x with negative 14x. But remember, whatever I do on one side of the equation, I have to do on the other side also. So I have negative 14x on both sides of the equation. Let's see what I have left. On the left side, negative 14x and positive 14x make 0. So I'm just left with negative 8. Now the key here is I got to drag down that negative sign along with the 8. So it's going to be a negative 8 when I bring that down. On the right side, I have 22 plus 20x minus 14x. So when I combine those, I'm going to have 22 plus 6x. Because 20x and negative 14x work against each other, the positive wins, and it wins by 6. Okay, the next step that I do after I get all my variables on one side of the equation is I've got to get all the numbers to the other side of the equation. Right now I have this 22 along with my 6x on the right side of the equation. I've got to get rid of this 22, and I do that by combining it with a negative 22. But whatever I do on one side, I need to do on the other side of the equation also. Positive 22 and negative 22 are going to make 0. So I'm just left with the 6x on the right side of the equation. On the left side of the equation, I have negative 8 and negative 22. They work together and they make negative 30. Now the last step is I have to undo multiplying x by 6. The opposite of multiplying by 6 is going to be dividing by 6. And I'll divide both sides by 6 on this problem. 6x divided by 6 is just going to be x. So on the right-hand side of the equation, I'm just going to be left with x. On the left side of the equation, I have negative 30 divided by 6, and that should be equal to negative 5. So the solution for the first problem is x is equal to negative 5. Let's try one more and make sure we have it down. So, first step, I make my fence. Second step, get all the variables to one side of the equation. So right now I have negative 15x on the left side and negative 8x on the right side. I'm going to add 15x to both sides. And the reason why I'm going to do that is then I have a positive x, and I'd rather work with positive x's than negative x's. So let's see what I have after I do that. Positive 15x and negative 15x make 0. They're opposites of each other. So on the left side, I just have negative 40. On the right side, I have 23, negative 8, and positive 15. When I combine those, I get 23 plus 7x. Now that I have my variables all to the right side, let's get my numbers all to the left side. That means I have to get rid of this positive 23. The way to get rid of a positive 23 is by combining it with a negative 23. But whatever I do to one side, I need to make sure I do to the other side of the equation also. Let's see what I have after I do that. Negative 40 and negative 23 make a total of negative 63. On the right side, I have negative 23 and positive 23. They're going to make 0, and I'm just left with the positive 7x. So, the positive 7x. And as you can see, I've already showed that I'm going to divide the 7x by 7 because that's going to undo the multiplication. So I'll do the same thing over here on the left side, divide by 7, because whatever I do to one side of the equation, I always have to do to the other side also. Negative 63 divided by 7 is going to be equal to negative 9. 7 divided by 7 is 1, so I just have x on the right side of the equation. Hopefully this video helped. If you have questions, make sure you ask tomorrow in class.